got two guest speakers with us tonight. This is Jeff Banman and his wife Nicky. They're going to be speaking to you guys this evening. And they've got some awesome words to say and some cool videos to show you. And then at the end of the evening, we're going to do a kind of special presentation for you guys. So yeah, I'm just going to open in prayer and then, yeah, I've got a whole mic here for you guys. And then, yeah, we can get going. So Lord, thank you so much for this great evening, for all the awesome young people that are here tonight. Thank you very much for leading Jeff and Nicky in the words that you've got for them tonight, the words that they're going to share with the kids. And yeah, Lord, I just pray a blessing on everyone here, pray a blessing on them, and just pray that we all have a great evening. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, fire away.
So right if we sit so high up here. I didn't actually tell Kevin this, but about 2 weeks ago, I'm on Facebook, and you always get the suggested friends. You guys know that little thing, right? How many of you guys are on Facebook? Most of you. You get the little suggested friend thing, right? It's like, you might want to be friends with so-and-so because you have this many mutual friends. And Kevin Hildebrand was there. I'm like, we got like 34 mutual friends, but I'm not usually like a big friend asker, so I didn't do anything with him. And the next day, Kevin Hildebrand is right there again. And then the next day, Kevin Hildebrand is right there again. It was 4 days in a row. And then on the 5th day, Kevin Hildebrand calls me and says, do you want to come and speak at the bunker? So I think there's something happening here. I think we're supposed to be here tonight. We live way away from here, on the other side of the river. And this is my wife, Nicky. Do you want to say hi? We're parents of 2 girls. They're 9 and 11. And Kevin asked if we would talk this evening a little bit about the whole relationships, dating kind of talk. And it's not going to be the talk that you've heard before, okay? And it's not going to be preachy or anything like that. But we have some truth that we want to share with you tonight. And we're going to open it up at the end for a little Q&A. I don't know if you guys normally do that or not, but if you have a question you want to ask us, anything at all, nothing's off limits. And we're total strangers, so you can say anything you want. We've been married for 15 years, so that's our credentials. Happily married for 15 years. We love each other more today than we used to. We've learned lots of things about relationships and dating, and lots of things the hard way and some things the easy way. We're going to try to share a little bit of that. Nicky will tell you maybe just a little bit about our dating relationship, whatever. A long time ago? Sure.
Okay. Because he doesn't remember, so.
I don't remember much, no.
Basically, we met when we were in college, and we played on the same intramural football team. And he was really good, so I was really happy he was on my team.
She's an awesome football player, by the way.
Anyways, so he kind of had my attention at first, but my brother was also in college, and they were in the same dorm, and he's like, maybe not, Jeff. I'm like, okay. That changed later, by the way. But, yeah, so I ended up actually dating his ex-roommate because throughout my high school and everything, whenever I liked a guy, I always get this feeling that I felt was from God, that it was like, no, don't date him. It's like, oh, okay, seriously, I was 20 years old, never dated a guy, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get a boyfriend. And so started dating this guy, and that was over the summer, and then Jeff was actually in Russia that summer, and when he came back, I'm like, Jeff has totally changed. I think he would pass my brother's approval now, but I was dating his really good friend. So we ended up breaking up like a couple months later, and yeah.
Now we're married.
I'm married.
And he's married too, so it all works out good for everybody. We're going to show a little movie clip here. How many of you guys were alive in 1996? Half of you almost, not quite a third of you. How many of you guys know an actor named Tom Cruise? Everybody knows Tom Cruise, that's good. There was a movie called Jerry Maguire. You heard the line, "Show me the money"? That comes from this movie in 1996. So if you have that clip, you can pull it up here. We're going to watch a little clip. This movie was famous for making a few lines really famous. One was, "Show me the money," and a couple more come out of this. And so this, just to set up the scene here, this is Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire, and this is his girl that he likes, and they kind of had a bad breakup or something. I don't know, I haven't seen the movie in 20 years. But they come back and he's like apologizing to her. And so this is the scene. We're going to play it here for 1 minute. And there's something to that that's entirely not true that has pervaded our thinking in terms of relationships and boyfriends and girlfriends. And that somehow Jerry Maguire is incomplete without this girl. He's missing something. And he's got her, and now he's complete. You get that? We want to talk today a little bit about how that's actually not true. How you don't actually need somebody to complete you. You are not a missing puzzle piece looking for that other puzzle piece to fit in with you. And there's a lot of pressure nowadays on folks your age to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse because you need someone to complete you. And I will say this, I love my wife with all my heart. She did not complete me. I wasn't missing something. And then I got her and was like, oh, now my life's good, now I'm complete. And she would say the same thing about me. You get it? It's not that we were missing something and you had to find each other to be a whole person. I was a whole person before I met her, and I will be a whole person if she dies before me. Okay? We'll be very sad if we're apart from each other and all that kind of stuff, but we're still complete people. I want to give you a little analogy here about, can I say something? Okay. About value and worth. Because you are who you are even without somebody. And lots of us think we have to have somebody to be worth something. So I want a volunteer who wants to make an easy $5. And I don't know, I didn't see her. Come on up here. What's your name? Lennon. You're gonna come up on stage here, just kidding. $5 bill here, you can have a look at it. Would you like to have that $5 bill? Yeah. What do you think that's worth in your hand there? $5. It's worth $5. Okay? 3 American. Sad. So, Lena, what if I bend it like this? This new money doesn't really bend, but I put a big crease down the middle. Did you still want that? It's creased a bit though. What if I do this? Now do you want it? Yeah. It's all. What if I do this? No. That's honestly. Do you still want it? Yeah. What if I told you this is worthless, this is garbage? Would you still want it? I'm telling you right now, this is worthless and it's garbage. Do you want it? What if all of you people say, this is worthless? Just yell at Lena right now and tell her how worthless this thing is, okay? They're all saying it's worthless. I'm saying it's worthless. It's crumpled up. Do you still want it? Good. There you go. You can have it. Thanks, Lena. Have a seat. No catch. You're just illustrating a point for me. $5 is worth $5, no matter what. No matter what happens to that bill, it is worth $5. No matter how dirty it is, we used to have like paper money, right? That used to get pretty dirty and ripped and all that kind of stuff. It's still worth $5. I can say that it's worthless, and it's still worth $5. All of you people can say it's worthless, and it's still worth $5. You get where I'm going with this? There's a value in each one of you. There's a value because you are made in the image of God, whether you believe that or not. God made you, and He made you in His image, and there is a value in you. No matter what happens to you, you are worth that value. It would be silly for me to say that $5 bill is only worth $5 if I have another $5 bill beside it, right? It's worth it all by itself. And it would be silly to say that you only have value if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse. You get what I'm talking about? Nicky won't talk yet. Sorry, I get going. The value of an object is determined by what you would pay for it. Okay? So whatever you would pay, I got a phone in my pocket. I'm not selling my phone. But if I was, how much would you pay for this? It's an iPhone 5. $5. He doesn't like iPhones. $3 American. Couple $100 is it worth? Something like that? Couple $100, whatever. Anything. A pair of shoes. What's my pair of shoes worth? What would you pay for these shoes if you had size 13 feet and you wanted to use shoes? $20, $10? That's what it's worth. Okay? So, whatever you pay for something, that's what it's worth. There was a story in World War II. This guy's plane got shot down, and he became a prisoner of war in these islanders. And so these guys had him, and he was like their slave. They owned him. And one day, these islanders wanted to trade this guy to another group of islanders. And so they traded him, because if you own a slave, you can just trade a slave. And so they traded this guy, and the other island people gave him something in return. And he got them. He said, I'm just curious, what did you give in return to get me? And they said, oh, we gave him a bag of rice. And that's what this guy was worth to these islanders, right? A bag of rice that's worth one slave. And so I want you to think, what's your worth? What's your value? What is the price that was paid for you? Whether you believe it or not, whether you know it or not, God sent His one and only Son that He could have you. That's the price that He paid for you. So that means that your value is actually really high, because God paid a lot for you. If you would pay $1 million for these shoes, then they're worth $1 million to you, because you paid that for it. If God pays the price of His child to have you, then you are worth a lot. I like you folks a lot. I wouldn't give up one of my children for you. I love them too much. But somehow God does that. He says, I want a relationship with you so much, I will give up my child for you. That makes you pretty priceless. Nikki's going to share a little bit about some lessons she's learned about self-worth and value.
I'm just going to tell a quick little story about a time a couple winters ago. It's probably a day, kind of like today, it was really cold. It was really icy, and I was at work. I was going home from work, and I was just thinking to myself, you know, I think I did a really good job at work today. I'm actually pretty proud of myself. I did a good job, and I was feeling really good about myself. As I was thinking this wonderful, I felt thoughts about myself, driving down a gravel road. So the gravel road was icy, except right before the dead end, there was a bridge, and the bridge was super icy. And I didn't think about that until I hit it, and ended up hitting the ditch, getting stuck. Jeff was out there helping me at like minus a million degrees, get the van out of the ditch, and I felt horrible. Found out later it was costing us like $500 to get the van fixed, and I just kept saying over and over to myself and to Jeff, like, I just kept apologizing over and over again. I was probably actually kind of annoying because I just felt awful. I felt so bad, and like complete turnaround of what I had felt 2 minutes before I hit the ditch. And eventually he convinced me that this does not have the power to wreck my life, so he had forgiven me even though he said there was nothing to forgive. And finally he said, you know what, I need to forgive myself for this. And so when I did that, I also said, hey, these feelings are not what God has for me, so what is the truth in this? And I kind of mulled it over in my mind that evening, and by the next morning, I felt God had taught me that it was because I was finding my worth in what I did. I was thinking that I did a good job at work, then I was worth something. And when I hit the ditch and cost us $500, that my worth had just gone down the toilet. And he's like, that is not what gives me my worth. what gives me my worth is that I'm a child of God, and He loves me, and He gives me my worth. And it doesn't change if I do a great thing or if I make a big mistake. And so the thing with bringing this back to relationships is that if we don't know what we're worth, and we try to find our worth in relationships, we could end up getting into a wrong relationship. I mean, this goes back to when I was dating this friend. It's like I just wanted a boyfriend, and part of it was because I wanted to feel that I was lovable. And I just wanted to have a boyfriend. And it was wrong to get my worth from that because that's just not where it comes from. Then if he would leave, well then where's my worth? So.
If you get your value from other people, they can also take it away from you. Okay? If you get your value and your worth from a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a group of friends or whatever, if they're giving you that sense of worth, they can also take it away from you. And when they're gone, you're going to lose what you've got. If you get your sense of worth from your father, and I know father is not a good word for all of you. Some of you have dads who are not great dads. Some of you don't even know maybe who your dads are. So I'm not talking about earthly fathers, okay? I'm talking about the Father that all of us have in heaven who created us. And that dad, that father, identifies you as his daughter and his son. And he looks down at you and says, you have value because you belong to my family. See, you're part of a royal family. Your dad is the king of the universe. And that's not exaggerating, that's not like literally. Literally, my dad is the king of the universe. My dad created the whole world, created the Milky Way, all that kind of stuff. And I'm his kid. And if I keep that identity in my mind, then I don't need value from Nicky. If I forget about that, then I'm like, oh, I need my wife to love me, to make me feel good about myself, that I am somebody. But if I remember who I am, what more do I need than having a dad who's the king of the universe? So I want you guys to start to explore that, to start to think about that. Ask some staff here, what does that mean? Tell me about my identity. Because I don't get this. I don't feel like I'm a daughter of the king. I don't feel like I'm a son of the king. But that's actually who I am, so help me figure that out. A little bit about relationships. A few signs that you are in a really good relationship. We'll give a few of them.
One of the signs of being in a good relationship is that you don't call each other names. And there's times where we've had arguments and fights and haven't always dealt with them well, but one rule that we made at the beginning is that we don't call each other names.
Yeah, so we've had big fights, lots of them, in 15 years, but we never call names. We never call each other down. Another one, if you're in a good relationship, nobody is manipulating the other one. No one is domineering, taking control of that relationship. There's times when I want to control Nicky, and I do. And there's times when she wants to control me, and she does. And we can control in all kinds of ways, right? Sometimes something as small as crying can really control another person. But in a good relationship, we seek to not control each other.
You can know you're in a good relationship if you're respecting both yourself and the other person. So, respecting self means if you have boundaries that you stand up for them, and this goes back to your value. You know that you are worth it, and if he would all of a sudden start calling me names, I'd be like, that actually I'm not going to accept because I know that's not true, and I have more value than that. And also respecting each other, so how we talk to each other and how we talk to other people. Like when I talk to other people about Jeff, I don't tell bad stories about him. I don't talk badly about him to other people.
Nicky and I have built our marriage on principles that we found in the Bible. And one of those principles is that you submit to each other. In different ways, at different times, we always submit to each other. And lots of us have probably grown up in homes where maybe we think, it's the wife's job. She's got to submit to the man. He's the man of the house, and he puts his foot down, and she's got to listen and all that. That's not in here. What you find in here is both people laying down their life for each other. And when that happens, when I'm just doing all I can to submit to her, to sacrifice for her, to make everything I can good for her, and she's doing that for me, it's a pretty sweet spot to be in. We're not looking out for each other, but we're not looking out for ourselves, we're looking out for each other.
Yeah, this last week, our whole family was sick, and it was hard. He had a bad cold, I was tired all the time, and yeah, even last night, he had work to do, he had a bad cold. He could have just said, you know what, I gotta go, but he didn't. He stayed and he did the dishes. And he did it because he knows that's a real blessing to me. And you know what, I can turn around and I'm tired and I don't want to do anything, but I can give him an echo or something. And even though we maybe feel entitled to just, okay, I need to look after me now. If we're just looking out for each other, that's just really, really sweet.
And if you know your sense of worth and someone else's sense of worth, you can live in a relationship like this. If I need her to make me feel good, then I'll never lay down my life. But if I know that I'm a son of the King, I can do that for her and she can do that for me. Because we get our value from somewhere else.
Another sign you're in a really good relationship is if your close friends or your family say it's a good relationship. I'm going to tell you a bit an opposite story. Somebody I know who was in a relationship and pretty much everybody told her it was not a good one. Up until the day that she married, I think that actually the day that she married this guy, her parents said, you know what, if you want to back out, you can. I mean, they spent a lot of money and they're like, if you want to back out, that's a sign you're in a bad relationship. She ended up, they got married, they had 3 kids, and after 7 years, she kicked him out because he was an alcoholic. He lied and he gambled, and it was just a struggle those whole 7 years.
If your friends tell you you're too good for that person, you are. Believe them and run away from that marriage. It could, from that relationship. It could save you a really bad marriage and divorce. Last sign that you're in a good relationship is that you love and you protect one another. And this is maybe more for the guys, because guys, you naturally have more power than the girl. Physically, you're bigger and stronger usually than the girl. And so you have more power, and that can be abused. You also have more social power in lots of different ways. And probably most of us know stories of guys who abuse that power. And to be in a good relationship means to be the kind of guy who loves and protects and cares. That's a good relationship. Let me tell you a little story what this looks like. Years ago in Yellowstone National Park, there was a forest fire. And acres of the park burned. And some park rangers were going through afterwards, and they were looking at the damage, seeing what all got burnt. And they came across this little bird that had been like literally petrified from the fire, burnt into a crisp, this little bird, but it was still sitting up. And this one park ranger walked past this burnt out bird and just kicked it over with his foot. And out from underneath that bird came 3 living little chicks. And so this bird, when it saw the fire, it knew it could fly away above the smoke and it would be safe. But this bird had 3 little chicks. And so the bird took their little chicks to the base of the tree and sheltered them under their wing. And then as the fire came, that bird was consumed by the fire, but the little chicks survived. Sacrificing yourself for another. Not calling you all to go and die for somebody like this. But there's a principle to caring for somebody under your wing. And I've done that for Nicky, and she has done that for me as well. And all of this falls apart if we don't get our worth from God. If we're getting our worth from something else, they're always going to be able to take it away. You guys tracking with us so far? Give me a nod, William. I'm going to play another video clip here. How many of you were alive in 1993? Even less of you. Just barely. How many of you know of a movie called Cool Runnings? Some of you. It's a strange movie. It's an awesome movie, but you would think it's strange if you haven't seen it. It's based on a true story about this Canadian coach who coaches a bunch of Jamaican bobsledders. and they go to the Olympics in Calgary, this Jamaican bobsled team, okay? And I'm going to set up the clip here. So this guy here sitting on the floor, he's one of the guys on the bobsled team. And then the other guy is John Candy. How many of you guys know John Candy? You guys know him still? He died, I don't remember when, 95? Died in 95, so before you were born. He was an awesome Canadian comedy actor. And he plays the coach. And in his past, he got caught for cheating. He was a bobsledding coach and he cheated. And so now, this young bobsledder is going to ask his coach about why he cheated. You are not enough without that. You will never be enough with it. And I want to say you are enough without it. Even though society will tell you you're not enough. Right? Our culture will say you're not anybody until you've got a man on your arm, or until you've got a trophy wife or a trophy girlfriend that you can show off to all the guys. If you're not enough without it, you'll never be enough with it. Tell them about the age thing.
So this is basically two different kinds of relationships. The first one is a relationship. And so you see the two people, these are the two people, and they're leaning on each other.
You have to know that. Right. Leaning on each other, right? And a relationship, if one person goes away, the other person falls over because they're leaning on it. Okay? They are not enough without that person. They need to have that person there. And so this is a silly little analogy, but when an H relationship looks like this, where you have two healthy people who can stand up on their own, and they're in relationship here, but if they're apart, they still stand up. Does that make sense? A versus H. A is bad, H is good. We have two girls, and I'm not waiting for a boy to come along and complete my little girls when they become teenagers or adults. They don't need a boy to complete them. If they stay single for the rest of their life, that's fine. They don't need anybody. They're not incomplete. And just for you as well, you are not incomplete if you are single. Our culture will tell you that you are. That you would be much cooler, you'd be much happier, you'd be much everything else if you had somebody else.
And actually, both of us, well, I dated Jason when I was 20, but Jeff didn't date anyone until he dated me. And I think both of us maybe would have had it otherwise when we were teenagers. I definitely wanted a boyfriend. I remember being at camp at 14, and one of the camp speakers said, it would be good if you didn't date until 16. And I'm like, are you kidding me? 16 felt like forever. So obviously 20 was even longer. But I look back on it, and it was totally God's grace in my life, because he saved me from all the heartache it would have caused from having boyfriends or breaking up and anything else that might have gone on with that.
Waiting is quite okay. There were lots of girls that I wanted to date, but I didn't. And the first girl I ever dated, although I did have a relationship in grade 5 for about a month, didn't go very well. Other than that, the first girl I dated, and the only girl I've ever kissed, is this girl right here. And that's pretty cool, pretty fun. It doesn't mean that if you've had all kinds of relationships that you're somehow damaged goods. You're $5, no matter what happens to you. No matter how crumpled up you might feel, no matter what's been done to you, no matter what you've done to yourself, you still have that value. Just like that $5 bill always has that value. You always have that value because you are daughters and sons of God. And if you get that, the rest of this stuff is going to go really well for you. You're going to be able to be in healthy relationships where you don't need anybody to complete you, where you don't feel empty without somebody. We all need relationship. Okay? I get that. We all need people in our lives that we can talk to and share with. Everybody needs that. But that can happen other than a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a spouse. So that's kind of where we want to leave it tonight. Just to challenge you guys to pursue this. Some of you are listening and saying, this does not sound true. I do not feel like I'm the daughter of the King. I don't feel like I'm a son of God. But you really are. You really are are, and I could hit you over the head with 100 Bible verses to tell you that, but you're going to have to get it in your heart. Yeah, I'll leave it there. You guys have been good listeners. I'll give you a couple seconds. If anybody has a question you want to throw out about dating or relationships or something that we've talked about, I'm going to give you only 5 seconds. Okay? And after 5 seconds, I'm going to pray for you, and that's going to be it. So if you have a question, go ahead. 5 seconds. You don't have to answer it by passing in 5 seconds, but you have to start talking. Okay, that's totally cool. There's lots of people around here who you can ask your questions to. It's okay if I just pray for you guys, and then I'm going to hand things over to Kevin again. I think there's going to be a video that comes up after this. So Father, thank you for these sons and daughters of yours. And Father, I thank you that they have value because they are made in your image. And Father, I ask right now that everyone here would get that they would know that they are daughters, that they are sons of yours, and that you look down on them and you love them and you cherish them, and they are priceless because of what you paid, that you gave Jesus for them. I pray that they would get that. I pray that you would keep them away from unhealthy relationships. I pray that they would get all of their value and worth from knowing who they are in you. I pray that we would love and protect each other when we see that everybody else has that same value too, that we would be the kind you love and protect. So I thank you for them, Father, and I just pray your blessing on them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we've got a short little 4-minute video now that we're going to show you. There's not a lot of talking in it, but so just sit back, pay attention, focus on it. And when the video is over, I'm going to ask all of the ladies in the group to go over into the gym area. The guys can stay in here. We've got a little bit of a presentation that we want to do with you guys. So as soon as the video is over, ladies in the gym, guys over here, and then we will have the night wrapped up from there. All right, thank you.